Over the last decade or so, there has been a new trend in horror films, and that is the requel trend, a reboot slash sequel, but not a remake. Some of them did it well, and some of them didn't. So let's talk about the varying degrees of success when it comes to horror requels. Hey, what is up everybody? It's Nick here, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about requels as a whole, and where they kind of stand today, how I feel on them, which ones did well, which ones didn't. This topic in and of itself at times can be very controversial because there's a lot of people that hate the requel trend. They just do. And I understand it, but at the same time I don't. Now, how does that make any sense? Well, I understand that a lot of people hear the term or hear the idea and initially cringe. They recoil because they're like, do we need to do this? Do we need to dig this property up? Having said that, I don't think that initial reaction you have should turn you off from giving that movie a chance. Because I think a lot of them have actually done the requel idea really well. But there's some stinkers in there. So first of all, let's talk about some of the stinkers. And the first one that comes to mind for me, and I'm sorry to say this, guys, is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Now, I know some of you guys are watching this. You've heard this. This is the beginning of the video, and you're like, this guy sucks. Not listening to the rest of this video. Hear me out here. Look, the idea of it being a requel is that it has that DNA from a previous installment in the movie. It is not erasing the canon of one of those beloved films. It is furthering it in a lot of ways. So I feel like by definition, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 is a bad requel because Sally Hardesty is basically insignificant in this movie. It's already jarring that it's not the same actress because, of course, Marilyn Burns passed away, so you couldn't do that. But that's already jarring enough if you're a fan of the original film. But then to have this character be so obviously cribbing off of what they did with Halloween 2018's Laurie Strode, but it just doesn't feel as organic. It totally feels like absolutely not human. Like this wouldn't happen. This wouldn't be a thing. And that's a problem just from the get-go. But the character, after all this forced buildup or attempts at it, is just literally trashed. Literally trashed. She's gutted and thrown in the trash. And it means absolutely nothing. So as a reboot that is totally independent of anything that came before it, maybe it is in some ways successful because Leatherface is badass. There's some great kill sequences. It's very nicely paced. It's a brisk watch. It looks great. There's some good action there, good horror moments, specifically one that takes place under a house. I really enjoyed that one. Ends with poopy, but it is what it is. But as a requel, it's just not good. It is just not a good requel. And that is the problem I have with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Because parts of it, when it is just free from all the baggage, is a really good watch. And then the main plot that we're driving here, the thing we're trying to get to, is a bore, and it is a chore to get through. So that's one that I don't think does it very well. Another one that is just god-awful gutter trash is Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Look, I saw this movie in theaters, guys. I did a review on it. It did really well. You know, people wanted to watch the review because I think people wanted to hear about the movie because it only got a limited release, and for good reason. It's a terrible movie. Terribly acted. Just terrible CGI, terrible effects, everything is bad. It's just a bad movie. Now, I did make the argument after the movie, look, it's so bad and so obviously bad that it's almost kind of fun. And we as horror fans specifically know a lot of movies like that. But objectively speaking here, although it is a fun time because it is a train wreck and we as humans love to look at train wrecks, it is a bad movie. It's terrible. It tries to continue the franchise. Everything that happened is canon, kind of, technically. It's not written out, but it's trudging new territory. The problem is, there's no real connections to the previous movies that aren't technically out of canon. So, again, by definition as a requel, it's not very good, but as a movie, it's just not very good. It's just a bad movie. Then we get to the mixed bag here. The moderate to decent requels. And the first one I think of is Halloween 2018. And I know you guys, some of you guys love this movie. Some of you guys feel as I do. It's just very meh. And I feel like both opinions are very fair. And I think that Halloween 2018 was a movie that I had built up in my head for so long, it was never going to live up to those expectations. So part of that is just unfair to the movie. But I also feel like some of it just doesn't really feel like a natural progression. There are moments, character moments with Laurie or Michael or anybody that's, coming into the fold that feel real and feel lived in and feel logical. And then there's moments where it's like, this just doesn't really work. This doesn't feel like how real people talk or interact or how real people would perceive the world today. So it's a mixed bag. There's good things in Halloween 2018 and there's bad things in Halloween 2018. So it's kind of a wash for me. Another one that I feel like is a mixed bag, and actually this has happened in recent years for me because I was really high on this movie when it came out, and now I'm very, on it. It's Scream 5, or just Scream as they call it, or 5 Cream, whatever you want to call it. This is a movie that I feel like when it comes to the Requel elements and those moments, those aspects of it that are brought into the movie, when they're there, they're really good. Dewey, Gale, and Sidney are great in this movie. And I love that the first half of this movie is kind of Dewey's movie in a way. He really steals the show. It's probably Arquette's best performance as Dewey. However, a lot of the new cast that we get, I don't really feel like shine in this movie. Now, I just want to say, if you guys are Scream fans, and if you aren't familiar with me, Scream 6 is my second favorite Scream film. I feel like they all came into their own in the 6th movie, and I feel like it's because some of the baggage, not Nev, story baggage, was not in that film. They were able to really take that film over. Scream 5 was juggling both, and sadly, the new stuff isn't as good. We want the old stuff, the greatest hits, and then in Scream 6, the new stuff really took center stage, and we're like, okay, I don't really care about the greatest hits anymore. This stuff's cool. So it's weird. It's a mixed bag. The duology here is so odd. But Scream 5 is one of those that I just feel like as the years have gone on, I've just gotten more and more lukewarm on it. I still think it's a good movie. I still enjoy it, and I still feel like it was a worthy requel. But if I'm being objective here, it's a very mixed bag. And then we come to the cream of the crop, the best of the best, the horror requels, the gold standard for horror requels, in my opinion. First off, it is a little less, a little lower on the totem pole here. It's not the gold standard, but it's close. Candyman 2021. This is how you do a requel, in my opinion. Aside from kind of a rushed third act that at times felt a little on the nose with some things, everything else about this movie is exactly how you do a requel. You connect it just enough to the first movie without feeling like you are beholden to that movie. And you have to remind people, oh, hey, look at this. Vanessa Williams gets one scene. It is incredibly impactful. It is one of the best scenes in the movie. The story connection you get to the original film, The Baby, all of that, great, beautiful. And the idea that they played with the lore of what Candyman is, it's more or less not necessarily just one specific person, but every generation has their own Candyman, a tale of tragedy that was wronged by society that comes back. I love that. I love everything about that. Not to mention Nia DaCosta directs her ass off in this movie. Everybody is just great in this movie. It's a great movie, in my opinion. I would tighten up some things in the third act, but I still feel like 75% of this movie is so good that it washes out a lot of the meh about the third act. But there is a reveal in the third act that's like, okay, just when you were losing me, you brought me back in. So it's a great movie. But I think when it comes to the gold standard, the movie that you should look at as the blueprint when it comes to requels, and you don't hear this a lot used with this film, which is kind of wild, but it actually is the case here. Evil Dead 2013. That's how you do a requel. I have gone on and on my channel many times before talking about how this movie is not a remake. It's absolutely not a remake. Never mind the fact that you have Ash Williams as an end credit stinger. Never mind that. Okay, in universe, clearly acknowledging that that's canon, whatever. Let's move off of that. Fede Alvarez openly talking about multiple times that this movie is not a remake, that what happened with Ash is canon, and this is a different book. It's a different Book of the Dead. There are 3 books. We got the third one in Evil Dead Rise. This is the second one. So never mind that. This is the perfect requel because it treads new ground with new characters. But it stays beholden enough, not too much, to what you know about the lore, while also not outwardly erasing what came before it. And then you get the mid-credit stinger, and you're kind of like, oh, not only was it not erasing it, it was canon. That is perfect. That's brilliant. Do not feel like you're laboriously telling us, hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? Hey, this happened. Guys, look at this. Oh my gosh, it's this from the first movie or the second movie. No. You know, as a fan of those movies, what you're watching and why things are the way they are because of those films. They exist. But the movie does such a great job of bringing in new characters, getting you to relate to and care about these characters, buying into it, and also getting reminded of the greatest hits about this franchise. Look, we went over varying degrees of requels here, and I would say that, in my opinion, the way to do a requel is Evil Dead 2013. Still to this day, I don't think it's been topped, nor do I think it ever will be. This is, in my opinion, the best requel ever made. So what's the consensus here? Are requels good or are they bad? Do we need less of them or more of them? I think requels are fine. I don't think they're inherently good or bad. I think it's all about what you choose to focus on, personally. If you are too beholden to the things that came before you to the point where you're not giving enough attention to the new story you're trying to tell, you have failed. If you are bringing in old things, but you're not fleshing them out enough or not making them believable enough or matter enough to the story you're trying to tell, you've failed. But I feel like if you are reminding us just enough of what we know and love while also really putting the time, the effort, and the energy into building up a new story off the bones of that previous one, you have succeeded. I think requels, on the whole, are fine. I don't mind that they exist, and I wouldn't mind to see more, but I feel like there has to be a reason. You have to have more story to tell there with an old story or old bones while also treading new ground. And that's a very fine line to walk for a lot of filmmakers and writers, and that's why some of them are bad, middling, just kind of But the ones that are great, it's because they had the right people behind them and they made the right decisions. They trusted their instincts, they listened to the fans, whatever it might have been. They did what we deserve as fans and what people wanted to see. And like I said, Evil Dead 2013 is the gold standard for that. But I want to hear down below in the comments section what you guys think of requels. Do you agree with the tiers? Some of the movies I listed in each tier. Do you agree or do you disagree? Which ones did I not mention that you want to talk about? I want to hear it all down below in the comments section. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.